5 o'clock, so we'll call this meeting November 2nd, 2020 to order of the Goldsboro City Council. Start our work session. First item is the adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Agenda's adopted. Next, we got old business. I don't think there is any. Correct? All right. Next, we got new business. Council meeting dates. Madam Clerk, I guess you're going to handle that?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Included in your packets is a copy of the proposed meeting dates for 2021. Council normally meets on the first and third Mondays of each month, and the proposed calendar includes changes due to holidays, which include meeting on Tuesday, January the 9th, as Monday the 18th is a holiday. Meeting Monday, July the 12th, just meeting once that month. That's what we've done in the past few years, so that we don't have any conflict with the 4th of July. And then Tuesday, September the 7th, because Monday, September the 6th is a holiday. And there's proposed retreat dates for 2021 of February the 8th and 9th, or February 24th and 25th. We would just ask that you take a look at your calendars to see if you have any conflicts with those dates, and staff will bring back an item at the next meeting for council to adopt the meeting schedule.
Any questions, comments? All right, well, everybody will have time to look over them anyway, so then you can get it back to them. Okay. All right, next we got boards and commissions vacancies.
And this one's kind of just for an information as well. Included in your folders is a listing of the current board members with the districts that they live in, a listing of those members whose terms are expiring, and copies of applications we have received to date. We ask that council review the information and discuss recommendations for appointments at an upcoming council meeting, so that you can adopt a resolution appointing members at the December 21st council meeting.
Any questions? Everybody go with that?
I do have a question, Mayor. I'm looking, the Commission on Community Relations, that's the new one that we're talking about starting, right? Or is that something different?
This is your existing committee.
Okay. What's the one that we were talking about?
It's not here because we haven't done it.
Sir?
It's not here because we haven't formed it yet. We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Remember, that's the one we got to pick the people for?
Right.
I believe you guys talked about maybe being a community initiative versus a city initiative, so I think that's kind of what you guys have been going back and forth on. But if there's something that staff can assist you with, please let us know.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, that now would be the time to at least start addressing it.
Well, I guess
Gateway was done in July.
my main question, what would we call it to make it kind of a different sound from what, it's kind of confusing. You have something that sounds similar to that. So what would our name, I guess first thing, we establish what a name would be, I guess, for the board itself. And then we could work it from there.
I can hear somebody through the audio.
Yeah, I mean, Todd, whatever the council wants to name it, I think it's
This is also the commission that we have no council members on.
Right.
There's no council members are on this commission at all.
Where'd that come from?
We never have had a council member on this.
Well, we've never had the commission.
No, the current
This
one.
one we have.
I mean, I guess, somebody needs to resolve, do we need the Commission on Community Relations and Development and another commission too? For the race relation building, whatever you want to call it? I mean, that, to me, that's kind of two totally separate things. But is it?
But why couldn't we just restructure this commission on community relations and development?
Well, to me, if they're doing what we were thinking we want them to do or they need to do, they're not going to have time for anything but that. I mean, that's a pretty big undertaking.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody agrees or doesn't agree.
So are we dealing with what's at hand right now because we have something in front of us? Are we saying we're gonna wait to make appointments for the agenda item? We're
This-
waiting for that.
These appointments would happen in December. This is just for your information right now.
Okay, great.
So
Thank
you
you.
might want to have an old business discussion.
Yeah, we gotta have, that's what I was gonna say, we gotta have a talk through sometime between then and whenever we're gonna try to appoint people.
Okay,
So that we're all together.
thank you.
Somewhere. Do y'all wanna say that we'll try to have this together by our next meeting? Or the first meeting in, December? I mean, do you wanna try to do it this year? Let me just re-ask that question.
I recommend we have it in place by the next meeting, so at least by the end of December, we'll have the applicant process, and, because I know a lot of people that are interested in it right now, and I don't want them to lose their, the momentum that we have with them, in the process. So I think 2 weeks will be enough to let's kind of have some ideas on what the requirements are and, things of that nature, and what the name will be. So we can get the ball rolling. That's just my recommendation.
Okay, so you wanna do it in 2 weeks? is what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying. Is everybody else okay with that?
I don't have any problem. I think maybe we all need to come up with a name or something.
Right.
Maybe, that'd be the
least.
first thing we did.
Right.
Is all of us come up with a name of what we're gonna name it. Because I've had 2 people email me that want to be on this commission.
Okay. All right, so Melissa, if you'll just remind us at our next meeting, we're gonna try to go through and come up with a name, come up with some, mission statement, stuff like that, and we don't even know how many we're gonna have on it or anything. So we got that much work to do.
I still disagree that this should be a council-led board, and it sounds like y'all have kind of made your mind up to pick
still
up the
agree
torch
what?
and run with it.
What'd you say?
So, okay, I thought we were talking about the Commission on Community Relations and Development. I thought that's what we were talking about. But you guys have brought up the other board to talk about race relations and different things like that. So have we settled on what we're gonna do about the vacancies that we need to be talking about within the next couple of weeks? Have we decided on that before we move on to the next thing?
On the community relations board.
Right, so the appointments that we have to make in December, have we decided when we're gonna
Yep.
do that before we move on to the next thing?
Normally, you'll discuss that the first meeting in December, and then make a decision the second meeting in December. Is
Cool.
that correct, Melissa?
Yes.
But no, that's not what we just said. What we just
No,
said.
but she's talking about 2 different things, so she's talking,
I understand
okay,
what
sorry.
you're talking about, But what I'm trying to say, that's not what we just said. We said we were gonna go ahead and do it next meeting, and then appoint them the next meeting,
Okay.
right?
Okay,
That'd be a meeting ahead of where she is.
okay.
I mean, I don't care, I just want to make sure everybody's got the same idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, we're talking about the Race Relations Board, we're talking about this, so I want to just, so I'm clear on what we're doing. So we're going to discuss the appointments that's in front of us the next meeting. Okay.
And just to clarify, because I know what Councilmember Matthews is saying, you're wanting it to be a countywide, but not the one that's on paper, but the one we don't have a name for, right?
Well, I think it should be community-led.
Community, right,
Yeah.
okay. And I agree with that. So that could be some of the talking points. That's what I'm saying. The next meeting is when we need to formulate a name, whatever we're going to say, and that could be within the language of how we're going to propose it to the community. Since we don't have a name for it right now, so we can't really, so that would be the next step. So if you were to write a proposal, I would write, if we kind of come to a consensus on, that was what my,
Well, then you're bringing up a whole other thing, are we gonna try to include the county?
that's what I was thinking that she was speaking of. That it was going to be a kind of like a collaborative
It's gonna be a
type.
whole nother,
That changes ballgame.
right? I'm not saying we can't do it, I'm just saying it's not gonna happen in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, that's gonna take some time,
Meeting with people.
What I'm saying, the proposal itself though, as far as what we're trying to get to present that in 2 weeks, is not coming up with I know we're not gonna have a board and everything, you know, just
Just come up with a name. Let's-
Yeah, a name and
Let's
what-
give us
what
a
our-
name, and then we'll figure out from there.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm satisfied.
We good with that?
I like it.
All right. The next thing we're gonna have is the consent agenda. Well, one thing, I just want to be sure everybody's in agreement or knows this. On the public comment, we decided I don't know where we were, the last time, that we were gonna change it to 35 minutes and let everybody speak 5 minutes at a time, or let somebody have 5 minutes worth of time. So the way I'm seeing that is we'd have 7 people tonight, and they could talk up to 5 minutes. So I just want to be sure everybody is in agreement with that. Okay. All right. Consent agenda?
Mayor, I just point out, it wasn't quite that.
What?
It wasn't quite that. It was a max of 5 minutes, but if somebody came in and spoke 2, you might have more than 7 people talking.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
And we do have the timer set up for that, so we're good.
You do?
Yep.
Good girl.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have an ordinance to amend the grant project fund for the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act for the miscellaneous grants. The Parks and Recreation Department applied for a remote learning grant from the North Carolina Coronavirus Relief Fund, which is administered by the North Carolina Alliance of YMCA's. The city was notified on October 15th that it was the recipient of an award in the amount of $94,616. The period of performance is July 29th until December 30th, 2020. The grant will be managed by Felicia Brown, the Parks and Recreation Director. There is no required local match for this grant. At this time, we are asking council to adopt the attached resolution to authorize the staff to accept the award and execute the required grant documents. And then also we are asking the council to adopt the attached grant project ordinance amendment for the Coronavirus or CARES Act Miscellaneous Special Revenue Fund in the amount of $94,616 so that staff may begin to fulfill the terms of the grant.
Any questions? All right. Go to item D.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Item D is Z620 Caps Enterprises of Greenville. The property is located on the east side of Ash Street on East Ash Street between Durant Street and Ridgewood Drive. The applicant's requesting to rezone 2 commercially developed properties from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. Surrounding zoning to the north and south, you have residential R9, and to the east and west, you have general business. The subject properties are currently occupied by a brick veneer single-story commercial shopping center of approximately 16,670 square feet. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends commercial development for the property, and the proposed rezoning would be compatible with the comprehensive plan. The property is located in a special flood hazard area known as the 100-year floodplain, and city water and sewer are available to serve the property. In March of 2017, the Planning Commission recommended approval of a change of zone request for the property from neighborhood business to general business conditional district with waiver of site plan at the time of rezoning. However, in April of 2017, City Council denied that change of zone request. Since then, the property has been sold, and the new owner and applicant is seeking the rezoning change to increase the allowable uses for the site, therefore enhancing the marketability of his property to rent the individual spaces. Currently, a church, clothing store, beauty salon, sandwich shop, and Health and Nutrition Center occupy this strip center. At the public hearing held on October the 19th, the property owner and an existing tenant within the shopping center came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on October the 26th recommended approval of the change of zone request from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and find the request consistent with the city's adopted comprehensive land use plan and adopt an ordinance changing the zoning of the property from neighborhood business to general business.
I'd like to make a comment, and that is, and I've been there, they've entered in 20-something years now. We've done this one time before, and I don't know if it's the same people or different people. I think it's different people, different owner. But what happened was they did that to get an ABC permit. And I just don't want them doing the same thing here because they would be out there at 2 in the morning drinking and throwing everything in the parking lot.
If you recall, the applicant had an existing tenant that did come before you all at the public hearing, did indicate that the reason for general business was to go down the proper process for a conditional use permit for a place of entertainment. If you rezone tonight to general business, that is a permitted use. However, it does require a conditional use permit, and that would come back before City Council for approval. Places of entertainment do have supplemental regulations in which they have to follow, one of those being it can't be within, I want to say, I can't remember if it's 100 feet or 500 feet without the ordinance, right? I think maybe 200 feet of residentially zoned or developed property. This property does back up to residential zone property. So when the applicant or a tenant comes back for a conditional use permit, that will be a modification that you, City Council, would have to review and grant approval of if you would desire to wish to, issue a conditional use permit for a place of entertainment. So just because it's being rezoned to general business does not mean they automatically get that use. But now another example of an ABC permit could be that you have, say, a restaurant, for example. That's not considered a place of entertainment, but they would be allowed, permitted by right in general business, and they too can apply for an ABC permit, but that would not come back before this board. That's for them to serve alcohol within the establishment. So that's kind of the two differences when we discuss ABC permits.
And what if we did the general business with you have to go back and have your plan approved? What do you call that?
They're only seeking, that would be, you would deny without prejudice and come back with a, what we call conditional zoning, and that's where you have the site plan, and a site plan will be needed for a specific use.
Okay.
We just got rid of a real problem down there where the Dollar General.
But just keep in mind, just because it's asking for general business doesn't mean you're approving that place of entertainment, which is the desire of a tenant within that shopping center. Neighborhood business currently, as it's zoned, does not permit a place of entertainment, which is why they're seeking the rezoning to begin with. And then he would follow with a conditional use, which we have been upfront with the one that is interested in that, and they know that, but they would be coming to you seeking those modifications.
And I don't think it's fair to judge this gentleman based on somebody else's behavior in the past. I don't think that is fair at all. And, and I think it harms future business here. Just because one person messed up, this board, I've sat here and I've explained to this board that you shouldn't have someone that has had murders and shootings in front of their establishment, but this board allowed these people to open up. And there's still people getting shot there. But this individual here, we don't have any problems with this person that's trying to get this zone changed. So we need to be fair here.
Anybody else got any thoughts or comments? All right. If not, we'll move on to item E.
Item E is Z720, and that is Wayne Oil Company. The property is located on the northwest corner of Wayne Memorial Drive and 4th Street. The applicant originally requested to rezone a portion of the subject property from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. After the public hearing held on October the 19th, 2020, the applicant indicated to staff their desire to request rezoning the property to general business conditional district for the operation of an automatic car wash. Staff's recommendation to Planning Commission at their meeting held on October the 26th was to deny the conventional general business rezoning request without prejudice and allow the applicant to reapply for conditional district rezoning without the 6-month delay. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on October the 26th recommended denial without prejudice for the change of zone request from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and deny without prejudice the change of zone from neighborhood business to general business.
Any questions?
Yeah, so when will you be notifying the neighbors again? I know that you guys pulled the signs up after.
We're already in that process, and they're already on the record or in the loop, so to speak, for a public hearing on November the 16th. So they will be properly notified, and it will indicate in the advertisement that it's for the operation of a car wash.
Because I've noticed the layout, and the layout is actually when the cars will be coming in and exiting right in front of these houses. You know,
I
couldn't find any other way to have these individuals.
I've not seen, they're working on that site plan as we speak to formally submit that to us, but we will get that in review and everything, and we will have an agenda item and work with them, because it also has to be reviewed by NCDOT. Because Wayne Memorial Drive is an NCDOT street, so we'll look at all of the traffic flow and everything once we receive it was just a conceptual plan that he brought to you the day of the public hearing, which I had not had time or my staff to review and be able to address any concerns we have within our ordinance. So they're working on that, and they will be submitting that to us.
Well, somebody probably doesn't need to look at it because it's coming in all on 4th Street. And I'm not sure if that's going to be good for that street. All right, so next we got the Z820 Jones Sawmill.
Item F is a rezoning request Z820 for Jones Sawmill. The property is located on the northwest corner of Bell South Road and I-795. The applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property from residential R20A to general industry conditional district in order to limit the use of the property to a commercial sawmill. In conjunction with the rezoning request, the applicant is requesting separate site plan approval as required by the city's Unified Development Ordinance. The proposed change of zone request is associated with conditional use permit request CU 620 and related site plans, which I will present to you following the rezoning request. More than half of the subject property is located within the city limits of Goldsboro. A portion of the property is located within Wayne County. County officials have made written agreement to relinquish jurisdictional authority to the city of Goldsboro. Surrounding zoning, to the north, you have residential conditional district and county airport. To the south, Wayne County Residential Agricultural and Wayne County Airport. To the east, you have general business and R16, and to the west, residential conditional district. The subject property is currently clear and vacant. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends a portion of the property for industrial development and the remaining acreage for medium-density residential development. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer are not available to serve the property. Water will be provided by a private underground water well. Sewer will be obtained through the use of a private on-site septic pump and waste systems in accordance with the Wayne County Environmental Health Department. Approximately 5.76 acres is located within the Wayne County's Airport Overlay District, and Wayne County Planning and Airport officials have been advised of the applicant's proposal and have no issues with the request. At the public hearing held on October the 19th, the property owner and applicant were present. However, they held their comments for the associated conditional use permit public hearing, which followed the rezoning request. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on October the 26th recommended approval for the change of zone request from residential R20A to general industry conditional district in order to limit the use of the property to a commercial sawmill. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and find the request consistent with the city's adoptive land use plan and adopt an ordinance changing the zoning of the property from R20A to I2CD. Any questions?
Any questions? All right. I would like to make a motion that we move item D from consent agenda to items for individual action. If we can.
Item D.
Item D, CAPS Enterprises.
From,
which is the restaurant, move it off the consent agenda and put it on items for individual action.
The site plan,
Huh?
the site plan.
the approval of the change in zoning.
Yeah, that's right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise? All right, carries and move it to individual action.
I'd like to make a motion that we remove item E off of the consent agenda for individual action.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise? Okay, we're gonna move it to D and E, or go through the individual action. But, on E, I don't know why it would matter.
Well, it does matter because, like you suggested, we should see the site plans.
But we're
We
gonna do all
will.
that anyway,
Well, I don't want to.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all that's coming back.
They have already reapplied for their conditional district, which is gonna, at that point, you will see a engineered site plan before you at the public hearing on the 16th of November. The applicant's the one requesting that.
I mean,
Well, we already have it also. It's in there.
I have a question about that one. I spoke to some people out of Pikeville area that frequent this road. I know we said that the DOT would have to approve being Wayne Memorial, but being that this is in close proximity to 795 would, because I went down that road and to look. If you come off Salem Church Road, it's wide, and then right where they're talking about, this thing almost tapers. To
So-
where if a log truck comes on the road, it'll run you clean off the, so I'm wondering,
Yes,
do
sir.
they need any?
With item G, when we
Uh-huh.
get to that and I discuss that, DOT has commented, and I do have comments from DOT.
Okay, thank you.
okay. We'll speak to that, I guess we'll get item G.
Proceed.
So are we leaving that, Mayor Allen? Are we leaving the,
We're taking D and E off, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we'll take D and E off to individual action.
Okay, to proceed to item G now?
And now we're gonna go to item G.
Item G is CU 620, and this is the site plan that's associated with the conditional use permit request for the Jones Sawmill. The subject property is located on the northwest corner of Belfast Road and 795. The site plan is associated with the rezoning request, which I previously presented, Z820. As council did approve or will, if they approve the applicant's rezoning request from R20A to I2CD, the use of the property will be limited for the operation of a commercial sawmill. A commercial sawmill requires a conditional use permit when located in the general I2 zoning district. The property is currently clear and vacant, and the property is also located directly east of an existing solar farm. In July of 2015, Goldsboro City Council approved a change of zone from R40 to R20A residential conditional district to allow the development of the solar farm. And you can see that just east of the property here. The submitted site plan indicates 4 commercial buildings to be utilized in the operation of the business. A floor plan has been provided which consists of an office, restrooms for customers and employees, storage areas, and 3 automobile service bays. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturdays it will vary. Number of employees is 4. The applicant has proposed a new 24-foot wide driveway cut off of Belfast Road to access the site. Belfast Road is an NCDOT maintained roadway, and the applicant has consulted with NCDOT and has been made aware of the fact that the driveway permits will be required. However, at this time, due to the scale of the operation, there's no other roadway improvements necessary. NCDOT will reevaluate this site in 1 year for the need in additional of any widening or in a turn lane to accommodate the business and for the safety of traffic on that road. The site has no frontage along Belfast Road. As such, a proposed 50-foot easement off Belfast Road will provide access to the site as well as to employee and commercial trucking parking spaces. The applicant is proposing a 20-foot wide gravel access road for approximately 1,000 feet since heavy log trucking operations will be conducted on site. The log trucks will enter and exit the site off Belfast Road. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer, again, are not available to serve this property. Private water and on-site waste disposal systems will be incorporated. Grading and drainage plans have not been submitted at this time. The applicant will be required to submit those plans, and they be in accordance with the city's engineering standards before construction permits are released. With the conditional use for a sawmill, there are supplemental regulations within our UDO that must be adhered to. The entire area of the site shall be enclosed by a 6-foot-high opaque fence. The yard area between the fence and the property line that's not used for parking shall be planted with grass and have landscaping composed of large trees, spaced not more than 40 feet apart and not less than one row of shrubs 30 inches in height, spaced so that they will form a continuous visual screen 6 feet in height within 3 growing seasons. No loading or unloading of material shall occur outside of the fenced area. A statement shall be submitted with the plans indicating whether any manufacturing or processing operation will create smoke, offensive odor, dust, noise, fumes, or vibrations beyond the lot lines of the proposed uses. We have discussed with the applicant, there is no burning of excess materials on this site. Everything will be hauled off. The uses shall be located a minimum of 1,000 feet from any residentially developed or zoned property. The applicant is requesting a modification of the minimum distance requirements from residentially zoned or developed property, as there is property that's located within 1,000 feet of the subject property that is zoned residential. The property that is developed residentially meets the 1,000 feet separation distance. The applicant is requesting a waiver of the fencing and landscaping requirements for a period not to exceed 1 year of the site plan approval. At the public hearing held on October the 19th, the property owner and the applicant came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on October the 26th recommended approval of the site and landscape plan with the requested modifications. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the site and landscape plans with the requested modifications. Any questions?
All right, seeing none, I think that does our consent agenda. And the next thing we're gonna have is the fire department budget, but do you just wanna do that in a meeting, or do you want to do that ahead of time? Thank you, Jim.
Meeting 7.
Yeah. Oh, here's, yeah, let's do it now. Hey, Jennifer, are you gonna be here?
Going to.
Because we might have a question when we move, if we talk about your other stuff. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, all. Okay. Have that. Mrs. Cash, go ahead. You had a presentation? Appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you this evening. I hope everyone is well as we still battle through COVID. I'm just talking until it comes up, of course. So if you have any questions.
I do. Let me figure out where it's at. I apologize.
Well, that's fine. Are you guys okay with me talking about it? I mean,
They have a copy in their packet.
Okay, that's fine. If you have a copy of it, what I'm in front of you regarding the reorganization. Just a little over 2 years ago, as I came to Goldsboro, the city of Goldsboro, you entrusted me as we went on did an assessment of the organization and the reorganization. I told you that we would save money, and we have saved money. As you can see, the plan, gave some. Talked about we would be saving up a little over $100,000. It's been over 2 years, and we've saved more than that because if you think about it, there are multiple people on council that run businesses. So we basically went from people, if you understand, at a classification of, let's say, a 78, and they're being replaced by a 76. That saves money in perpetuity. So now what I'm asking council to do, because it's not just that. I hope most of you, I see some of you on Facebook, you see, what the fire department is doing, the value, because I talked then about the value that we return to the city, and that value comes in an improved ISO rating, which is good for the city. that value comes in the outreach that we do and the community engagement, all across the city. So not asking the city for any additional funds because within the budget center 5120, which is fire, and particularly within line item 1210, we have enough money. We've talked about in the past, the police department inspections, they have a pay for certification. So the firefighters collectively have worked to make this, as you know, there was resistance to this, but they have worked to make this a reality, and the savings are real. And again, it's not costing the city any more money, but this would allow me to take the $50,000, which I'm asking for, and divide that up and get for pay for certification. That would be, parity, a little closer to parity with our partners in public safety. And again, it's all because of their hard work. And it doesn't apply to the fire chief, it doesn't apply to the deputy chief. It's for the men and women, as they say, the boots where the boots meet the ground. Are there any questions?
Chief, I'd like to chime in because this is one of the issues I brought up at the retreat. And even when I was at the department, we wanted some type of incentive pay because you lose a lot of guys that use this as a transitional point. They get the training, which our city invests in, then they go off to another county. So I think this is a great way to retain and also recruit people that realize they're going to get incentive pay. You don't want to train people up to $10,000 and then they go off to a neighboring community. So I'm in support of the resolution.
And if I may just add, so that everybody, because your perspective is a different perspective, we lose an average of, and I've done it since 10/5/2017, which is 3 years, we've lost 15 people. A couple of those have been for other reasons, medical, right. But that's about 4 people a year. And the average tenure of those people was between about 4.5 years. So that means we've been paying to train people the same position over and over and over again. That costs the city over $100,000 a year. That's in salary and in the training, the instructors and all those type of things. So it is, if we are, with that perspective, trying to give people an incentive to stay here in the city of Goldsboro, this is where the benefit also lies, in making sure that we can retain them and we do attract, talent.
So what you're saying is just reallocate the money you're saving to go toward...
to pay for certification, yes, sir.
For certification. I have no problems with that.
Well, Chief, I've just got a couple of questions. First
Yes,
thing,
sir.
I want to really applaud the certification that you've done and the way you've retained people. The only thing that bothers me is that I'm not sure I want to do it right now. I want to be sure when we get to the end of the year, since we have no concept of what our revenue is going to be yet. I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to go in fund balance for this and take away from other departments. That's what I'm thinking. I don't want us to go into our fund balance.
Well, this money that was appropriated already to 5120. I understand what you're saying. You're looking for savings in the future, and I appreciate that and I understand that. But it's just my job to come before you and advocate for these men and women. That's all.
I don't blame you. I have fought for
Yes, sir.
for battalion left and right, and I know exactly what you're saying, and I applaud that. My only point is I don't want us to go. And I don't know which side, which part of your back we're going to pat for doing that, or if saving us money coming back, because you've done a great job, and that's not the problem.
Chief,
I just maybe
Chief,
like to see us delay it.
you stated that this money was already allocated, though.
That's correct. It's already there, and it's for salary. So as you should have in there where we're losing people. So we lost a Frank Sasser. Frank Sasser was one of the most expensive employees in Goldsboro Fire Department, and Frank Sasser was an assistant chief. Frank Sasser being replaced. So if he had stayed, we would have to pay them, and that's that benefit that happening is part of the reorganization. So it is. I understand, but I also know, as a mayor pro temp, Broadway speaks, is that we can do it now, which is something that I believe it was 2 council meetings you guys talked about, retaining employees and how we do it. This is a way to do it. They've earned it through what you see every day in the community. That's my opinion. We're not asking the city for any more money. It's there in 5120, and particularly in line item 1210, and not just 1210. Because of the way we've done it, we've also saved money in overtime by some different things that we've changed. We're saving the city money more and above what we're doing, but I understand and I respect it, and it will be in your hands to vote on.
What would you estimate that the savings you have had already this year based on reorganization?
About $130,000, because when we look at
So you're only asking for 50,000 of what you saved?
Yes, sir, but all of that is not in perpetuity. So when I say that goes on and on, because when we say we've saved, I also include in there, I talk about the grants that we've gotten, but the money in overtime, our overtime reduction, and part of that is we were very lucky this year with hurricane. So even though our overtime budget was cut in half, we've certainly been fortunate enough not to have any big events where we had to expend a lot of overtime, and overtime that we have had is associated with COVID, which should be reimbursed.
Hey, Chief, I apologize, but it's up there now if there's anything you'd like to show.
No, man, I guess you can go to the slide that has, but they have that has the budget page on it, not that one. Here, and what that shows you is, again, that's the 5120 budget center, and salary wages I referred to as 1210, and then you can also look at overtime, 1819, $215,000, where the last few years it has been less. And that's because of ways that how we're allocating our staffing. Our people, personnel, including myself, respond to calls, whereas though the staff didn't staff the battalion chief when one of the field personnel were off. So we're making sure that keeps people fresh, that keeps them involved. So it is, I believe, as we talked about, I'm advocating for the people. I believe it's a reinvestment.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
My only problem is I just worry about our total revenue at the end of the year. That's my only problem with that.
Yes, sir.
Chief,
Sir.
these proposed expenditures would not be executed in the next, say, 30, 60 days. Would they be spread out through the time of the remaining budget year?
Yes, sir. And what it actually is that it's not even $50,000, so it would only be 25 because we're already halfway through the budget year. But it would be $50,000 funding it for the year after that. But so it's only $25,000 for the current fiscal year.
So my point is that you wouldn't, tomorrow, as an example, spend this money.
No, sir.
It's going to be there.
Correct, sir.
Okay.
On that note, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the resolution to establish paper certification for Goldsboro Fire Department employees.
Is there a second? Before we do that, you had looked at me like you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to join in the discussion. I appreciate what the chief's doing here for his people, the fire department. However, at this time, I don't support the resolutions that are in front of you, $50,000 for this and $10,000 for the 1919 fire truck, for the exact reason that council member Broadway brought up. COVID-19 has significantly impacted many local governments, and that's why they're asking for a lot of federal funding. For the city of Goldsboro is not immune to this. The city of Goldsboro is experiencing a 10% reduction in sales tax right now. That's a $10 million piece of your general fund, so you could be short at the end of this year $1 million. That was not, we're not going to get the revenues to meet the budget expectations. So that means you have to cut $1 million someplace potentially, or go into your fund balance for that. So this is an additional expense. What Chief's explaining to you there, it is in his budget, but that money is there and will not be spent unless you allocate it for this, and that could be used to help pay for the shortfall. As you may recall, we made the decision, the council made the decision during the budgeting process not to fund any pay raises. There is no cost of living increase, there is no performance increase, there is no holiday bonus. So I find it a little difficult to help the fire department out here, and they may very well deserve it, but a lot of people deserve it as well. So from a fairness perspective, I have a concern. I think we should look at spending going forward. We have reduced our spending on things except that is absolutely necessary, and I think we need to go from a perspective of what is a must-do, what is a should-do, and what is a nice-to-do or could-do. So to me, the refurbishing of the fire truck is a nice-to-do. Hopefully, we can afford to do that at some point in time. A should-do is probably something along the lines of these pay raises.
Excuse
And a
me, Mr.
must-do,
Manager.
if I could finish, sir, just for a second, the must-do to me would be the operations and maintenance costs and the capital improvements that we have to do to keep operating. So I just asked you to consider that, and what council decides, we will obviously do.
May I?
Would-
May I speak? May I speak?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so when you were presenting, sir, I didn't hear anything about a 1919 fire truck. Is that where you wanted money allocated?
No, sir, there was actually, and it's not on the agenda, so I don't know why the city manager brought it up.
Well, there's two resolutions.
Right, but it wasn't listed as an agenda item. It was a totally separate. And so first, if I may, I'll respond I want to respond to the first piece. Something about taking care of your personnel. You know, one of the things about when you have an organization and they're doing a group, it could be a division, it could be a brigade, whatever it is, and they're doing good work, you know, that's an incentive for other departments to say, we found the savings here within and done it within the fire department, not to exclude anybody else, but they've done it, and, you know, this is an example. So I'll leave that there. The 1919, respond to that, there was a talk, which is not on this agenda, about we raised just about $20,000 from public and private funds, including donors in this room. So what I talked to the city manager about is the city chipping in, again, and savings that we have, and that's not in perpetuity, that's a one-time, to go to that so that, you know, the city, I mean, it's a city-owned piece of apparatus, and we've done, again, our due diligence in raising, you know, most of the money to make this happen. So that's what that was, but that's not, I don't expect that to be voted on this evening because it wasn't presented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What you're saying is, it's not included in what you're asking for,
No, sir, it is not.
all right? Because you know I support it, but, you know, right now, I don't think we
Yes, sir.
give $10,000 for that.
No, the money requested is for the men and women. And again, any question?
No, sir. There was a motion and there was a second.
There was a motion and there was a second. Who made the second?
Second.
And you made the motion?
No,
I
he
made
made
the
the
motion.
motion.
Okay, you made
I
the
made the
Councilman
second.
motion.
I made the second.
You made the second?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chief.
And that's just for the money for the, training.
50,000 is approved for the
Pay for
chief
certification.
to figure out a certification plan.
Okay.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right, I guess that's all we got. Except we need to go in closed session. What are you pointing to me? Trying to tell me
Just
something?
make sure you say close session.
Yeah, we need to go in closed session to discuss the performance of the city manager.
There's also a couple litigation matters I need to bring up quickly.
I can't hear you.
A couple litigation matters. I
And
need
a
to
couple of
discuss.
litigation matters.
Make a motion to go into closed session for litigation
Personnel.
and for performance evaluation of the city manager.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, we're in closed session.